Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. Today I wanted to talk to you about how your attitude is in the process of OCD recovery. If you take the position of, well, I have OCD, I will never recover, it's all very, very bad, then you will make that come true. You will have OCD forever because you're not doing anything towards the recovery. If you say, okay, I have OCD, this is a temporary situation, what do I need to do? I'm going to make sure that every day I do as much as possible in order to recover. And you really push yourself every single day, then you absolutely will recover. It's that, I mean, I talk to so many people and it's always the same thing. It's the person will kind of, in the beginning, they have a hard time usually. And then as they are kind of seeing, okay, I've tried a little bit here, it worked. I disregarded. I tried a little bit there, it worked, I disregarded. Okay, now I'm ready to do this. Let's do this. And now we just start to do exposure after exposure. It's just getting to that point where you're ready and you're pushing. And from when you start pushing, in a few months, right? If you're at 10 out of 10, it will take maybe a month or two for you to feel a million times better. So you can go from, I would say realistically, in 2 months, you can go from 10 out of 10 to say 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10 in terms of the level of anxiety. And then take the next few months to kind of finish up the process, clean up things here and there where you still might be doing compulsions. But it's just starting and just saying, you know what? I need to go all out. I need to do this. I need to recover. I'm not going to make any more excuses. I'm not going to make, kind of take this kind of mentality that, well, this has happened to me, there's nothing I can do. I just have OCD. I see these people on forums all the time where it's that mentality. And I'm telling you, believe me, they're on the forums now. They will continue to be on forums, seeking reassurance, doing all that, you know. But some of them will say, you know what? I've had enough. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing reassurance anymore. This is not helping me get anywhere. I'm just going to do the recovery work. And they start to really push, and that's how people recover. You need to do active recovery work. Nobody can do it for you. You need to do this. And you need to be starting right now. You can't wait until tomorrow, the next day. I'll just start in the week. I'll start when, the stressful situation will stop. Then I'll really put effort into it. Then I'll really do recovery work. No, you start right now. And by the time things, you know, ease up on other fronts, you'll be a million times better anyway. I get this a lot where people say, well, you push so hard, and I actually do push my clients pretty hard in terms of doing exposure work and not following whatever OCD is saying. But the reason why I do this is because otherwise you just drown in OCD. You can't recover doing what's comfortable, doing what's familiar. You need to do recovery work, and you need to do it all the time. I look at it from a position of, why would you suffer? You've already suffered for so long. Why would you suffer longer if we can get this knocked out in a much shorter amount of time? Why are we going to wait? Why are we going to take this so slow? And of course, there's situations. Sometimes it's too difficult. Sometimes a person in a situation where, say, if they just moved or they just started a new job, that's probably not not a great time to really push to the max. At the say same week, person needs to adjust. But after a little bit of time, give yourself a few days and then really start. Whatever OCD tells you, don't take it seriously. Choose not to take it seriously. Yes, your mind is taking it seriously. You're feeling the anxiety. You're feeling physical anxiety symptoms. But to all of that, you say, whatever. This is all part of the OCD bouquet, so to speak. I'm not buying it anymore. I've bought it for enough time in my life. I've given this enough time in my life. I am done. I'm going to be actively doing recovery work from now on. No matter what OCD tells me, having OCD is still worse, right? So I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm making a choice to do this. And you will see, it will start to get easier. OCD feels really real when you're at level 10, when you're at level 9, 8. But by the time 7 or 6 hits, as you start to go down in anxiety, it doesn't feel so real anymore. It's like, oh, okay. Or it's kind of usually on and off, where sometimes it will feel real, and then other times you're like, oh, that doesn't really make sense. And you go back and forth. And that's how progress happens, and that's how recovery happens. And there will be setbacks. There will be days where you fell for the, OCD thought of the day. But if you keep pushing every single day, you will recover. If you don't push every single day, if you allow a lot of compulsions, a lot of rumination, a lot of avoidance behaviors, you will start to get worse. It's that balance between the two. What if you take your day right now without judgment, but just like without bad judgment, so to speak. So you take your day. Well, how much did I do in terms of ratio of reassurance behaviors versus standing up to OCD behaviors? Okay, this is my ratio right now. That's fine. Doesn't have to be necessarily a good ratio right now. Everybody starts out really bad. So, okay, right now I'm doing mostly reassurance. Fine. Can I do a little bit less tomorrow? 5% less. And then from that day, maybe stabilize for a few days. Then again, I'm going to do 5%. Now I'm doing 10% less, then 15. It doesn't take much to get to 100% not doing reassurance. So it will take you a month. If you're very kind of slow with it, it will take you 2 months to get to zero reassurance, and or very close to zero reassurance. So you'll be at, say, maybe 5% out of the day you're doing reassurance. Okay. And then as you go, and as the anxiety lowers, and as your brain catches up to you, because at first the brain will resist you and it will send you more thoughts. That's why in the beginning it's the hardest, because the person will say, I've been trying to push hard, but instead of getting better, I feel like I'm almost getting worse just because of the amount of thoughts I'm having. That's absolutely normal. That's literally just the beginning, just the first, I would say, first few weeks that this happens. Definitely in the first week you'll see it. So you just have to look at it as that's the norm. But it's a good thing because it shows that the brain is uncomfortable. It needs to be uncomfortable because change is uncomfortable. It needs to change. Right now, it's very comfortable with you doing all the reassurance in the world. So you need to make it uncomfortable so it changes how it's viewing these thoughts. And just keep doing every single day with the situation of the day. So some days are going to be just more difficult days by default in terms of life, or more stressful, more busy. For parents right now, kids are going back to school, right? So that could be harder days. And, or sometimes I generally find weekends are more harder for people, because on the weekend you feel more pressure to be better, to be present, all of those kinds of things. And that makes it worse for people to cope, because then if they don't feel better, they're like, oh, kind of, things start to unravel. So you just have to say, nope, OCD, not buying it. How's the weekend gonna go? Terrible. Very clearly terrible. And just take everything sarcastically. Don't react. Don't ever show fear to the brain. You need for that neural connection between fear and these thoughts to die out, which means you can't activate it every single time. It will activate on its own, but you can't, feed this fire. You have to say, no, don't care. I'm not buying it. I understand. I feel fear. Kind of separate yourself that, okay, right now, here I'm feeling fear, almost like you're a bystander watching this. Right now I am in fear. Okay, that's part of OCD. Doesn't matter. I've been in fear many, many times before. Now it's happening again. Didn't turn out to be anything before, or I didn't solve the thought before. I'm not going to solve it now. There's going to be a new thought or a new detail of the same thought. So this is not the first, this is not the last. I'm in the process of recovery. I'm disregarding the guilt, the fear, the shame, the what ifs, the I'm going to lose everything, the thoughts feel so real. All of this bouquet, I'm disregarding it all. And I'm not paying attention, and I'm choosing to move on with my daily life. And that's kind of how you have to keep yourself always focused to whatever extent you can on daily life, and keep yourself progressing that way. You will see things will start to improve, but you just have to continuously work on it. I hope you find my videos helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. I do daily videos about all things OCD. If you would like to do one-on-one recovery program with me, all the information is as always on youhaveocd.com. You can sign up from there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.